How do you feel about Jesus' statement that I am the way, the truth, and the life?
How do I feel about Jesus?
What do you believe about that?
I have no theology right now that I could share with any authority with other people, but I believe completely in the existence of God, and I feel a great love for Jesus. And every day of my life, I seek his guidance and ask him to tell me every day what he wants me to do. But as I said, I have no organized theology to offer a person.
You made quite a splash amongst our Christian press when you said, I've got to say farewell to Christianity and to organized religion.
Right.
Do you still feel that way about the church?
I do, very much.
What was wrong
I've
with
chosen
it?
to seek God outside of organized religion. And I've found that there are many, many believers who do that. I'm
Yeah,
not
I have too.
alone. I felt very alone at the time, but I got a flood of emails from all over the world from people saying, well, that's the same way I feel. And people going to little independent churches that they did not feel were part of any organized denomination, and seeking fellowship in those places and inviting me to come.
And so you didn't leave Jesus.
No.
You didn't leave a relationship with God.
No, not at all.
It's our structure.
Also, it's fascinating to study 2,000 years of Christianity and note how it has genuinely evolved. Christianity is not the same today as it was in the 3rd century. It's different, and it's going to continue to evolve. But one of the problems you run into many times when you're dealing with your co-religionists is that they insist it's not evolving, it's not changing, it's always been the same, and you're out of step with it, and you should leave. But if you look at that history, if you look at the many ways that Christianity has expanded over the centuries, there's no doubt that it's going to continue to evolve, and we will see wonderful things in the future. We will see great changes in the future. People will look back on this age and wonder, I think they'll ask us, why were you so obsessed with sex? What was it all about for them back there in the 21st century?
I want to ask you about sex, because you do have, it's sprinkled everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I want to just take a bit of a diversion here. You've written the Sleeping Beauty trilogy.
Right.
We've just exploded into a national conversation in our country about violence against women and about, that whole sexual genre of domination and submission.
Sure.
What are we to say when that very popular world of fiction crosses over into real life? And that's what's launched a conversation in this country. How do you feel about that as a woman?
Well, first off, I feel that the imagination is the place where you can explore the transgressive. It's where you can explore. In literature, that's the place where you can explore the forbidden. You can go there, and you can talk about it. And in writing the Sleeping Beauty trilogy, I was trying to create a very safe place for people who enjoyed fantasies of domination and submission, where nobody really got killed, nobody was ever cut with a knife, nobody was ever really brutalized, but where you had this fairy tale kingdom where people could play games of dominance and submission. It was almost like the theme park of S&M, the Disneyland of S&M. I think it's good. I think it's good to be able to go to that safe place and explore all of these aspects of your psyche and your subconscious, and then move back out of that, back into your safe, ordinary life. There's no reason for it to bleed over. We didn't come out of the movie theater in the 50s after a Western wanting to go shoot somebody,
Okay, here's a movie that might bleed over. Your Jesus Out of Egypt is going to be a film.
It's being filmed now in Rome, yes.
And what would you hope will come from that? What is your hope for what that book could become in film now?
Oh, I think the film is going to be wonderful. Cyrus Nowrasteh and Betsy Nowrasteh wrote the script, and Cyrus is the director, and they were very, very faithful to my concerns. Is this be biblically correct and theologically correct? And this movie, Out of Egypt, Jesus is a little boy. He's 7, 8 years old in this movie. And I think they've managed to make a really terrific Jesus movie without having to accommodate the scandal and the horror and the cruelty of the cross and what happens later to Jesus. We know that's coming in this movie. We know that he will eventually take the road to Jerusalem and to that terrible Passover weekend when that happened. But we're not there yet in this movie. It's Jesus as a little boy. And it's all of his different feelings as he puts his omniscience aside to try to experience life with us, the way the Gospels tell us that he did, really,
Where you really surprise me and stretch me is in this realm of the imagination. So speak to me now as a woman who loves Jesus, follows Jesus, But you haven't got many guardians around where you invite us to go with our imagination. And quite frankly, you know, I maybe a little, my Mennonite background comes out and says, this is not good for me to take my imagination into vampires or into sexual thrillers. Give me my therapy on that. What do you think of that?
The only thing I can offer is the moral compass that I bring to all my work. I don't think that there's anything that I've written ever, whether it's erotica or a vampire novel, that does not have a strong moral compass. And that's really all I can offer to the world. I think God made sex. I think sex is good. I think God cares about how we treat one another. He cares about us being loving beings. I don't see anything wrong with vampire fiction as moral fiction. I never have. Again, I celebrate the imagination, and I celebrate a kind of embrace of the whole world, an embrace of this magnificent biological universe in which we have been born and of which we are witnesses. And I absolutely love being a writer and writing about it in all of these different ways, and I'm not afraid to go. I believe in going all the way with my explorations in these different matters. I feel pretty comfortable with it.
Tell us about your book on angels. What did you capture in your imagination about angels?
Well, I wrote 2 books in a series called Songs of the Seraphim, and I'm going to continue them. And they're about a hitman named Toby O'Dare, who's visited by an angel, Malchiah, a seraph, who says, stop killing people for the government, join with me, repent, turn around, ask the Maker for forgiveness, and become a worker for us. Help us answer prayers. You have some unique talents that we can really use. And Toby, of course, doesn't believe this is an angel. He has to be convinced, but finally he does what Malchiah asks him.
And do you believe angels are real?
You know, there is so much testimony, written testimony today about angels, that if they aren't real, I'd be very surprised. If you explore it, like any field of research, there's just piles of testimony. People claim to have been visited by angels, to have angels save them when they were lost in a snowstorm, to have been protected by angels in various times when they were in danger. It's quite an impressive amount of material, and all through history, we have reports of people who have encountered angels and met angels, and we have all the rich Christian heritage of angels.
And we have the Bible's record.
Absolutely, the Bible's record, the seven choirs of angels, the wonderful descriptions of the Ophanim and the Seraphim and the Cherubim and everything. I love doing research on angels. I love reading all of that, and did a lot of research for my books to get it exactly right. I wanted my angels to be really powerful biblical angels, not watered down Hollywood angels that really want to be human beings.
So I've got religious sensibilities about where I will let my imagination go and where I will not. That doesn't stop you. You don't think I should be limited by that?
No, I let my imagination go everywhere. I mean, to me, the metaphor of the vampire is a very rich metaphor, and that is a great way to talk about God and the devil and good and evil and faith and loss of faith. I mean, I will go wherever my imagination takes me. I think exploring our humanity and exploring our imagination, they're one and the same. And as a writer, that's my world. That's what I feel I can do, and maybe what I was born to do.
So in all of these hundreds of characters you've brought to us all of the imagination creating this fascinating world you've made, where have you felt closest to God in your writing?
Oh, that's a hard question to answer. For better or for worse, when I go to the most frightening and demanding places, I guess I feel closest to God. I feel I'm doing what I hope I'm meant to do. I think living with cosmic uncertainty is human. To live with fear that you may be wrong, that's human. And every night of my life, I pray to God to show me if I'm wrong about anything I'm doing and everything that I'm doing. Please show me if I'm wrong. If the erotica I've written really doesn't have any value, deep psychological value, show me, please, and guide me to some other way of being. So I would say any time that I'm really focusing. And it doesn't depend on any one book. I mean, I felt the greatest consolation when writing the 2 Christ the Lord books. But consolation is not always the gift that one can ask of the Almighty. There there are other gifts that he gives us, and fear and trembling and cosmic uncertainty and seeking with one's whole heart, that's maybe more important than enjoying consolation.
Anne Rice, world-famous author, vampire fiction, pop icon. Thank you so much for being with Context.
Thank you. Thank you very much.